Hi boys and girls, and welcome to Nicola and Bertie's special VE Day celebrations. I'm Nicola and this is Bertie. We're going to start the day by reading a story. The story we're going to read this morning is called The Smartest Giant in Town by Julia Donaldson and Axel Schultz. George was a giant. Here he is. He was the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals on his feet and the old same patched up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes, so he bought himself one smart shirt, one pair of smart trousers, one smart belt to keep his trousers up, one smart stripy tie to wear on his shirt, some smart socks with diamonds upon them, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said excitedly. George left his old clothes behind the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a strange sound. On the pavement stood a big, tall giraffe. He was sniffing. He was really sad. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very long and very cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his stripy tie. "It didn't match my socks anyway," he said, as he wound it round and round the giraffe's neck. It made a wonderful scarf. "Thank you, oh thank you," said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look at me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." He was so happy with himself, boys and girls, wasn't he? George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly, "Meh, meh." "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in the storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat." There he is. Oh, he looks very sad, doesn't he? "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his brand new white shirt. "It kept coming untucked in anyway," he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. "It made a magnificent sail." "Thank you," said the goat. Oh, he's very kind, George, isn't he? George strode on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat for a sail for a goat. But look at me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." Oh, look, the flies come to read the story too, boys and girls. Off you go. Hey, Bertie. George came to a tiny ruined house, and beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking, "Squeak, squeak, 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 squeak." "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's our house," squeaked the mother mouse. "It's burnt down in the fire, and now we have nowhere to live." "Oh, look, it's full of flames. I wish we had a nice new house," he said. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. It was giving me blisters. As the mouse and her babies scrambled inside the shoe, it made a perfect home for them. "Thank you," they squeaked. George had to hop on one foot along the road, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat for a sail for a goat, my shoes in a house for a little white mouse, but look at me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George then came to a campsite. Beside the tent stood a fox. Oh, he looked sad too. He was crying. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a big puddle of water. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag," he said. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his socks with the diamonds up the side. "It was tickling my toes anyway," he said, as the fox snuggled up into his sock and made a great sleeping bag. "Thank you, oh thank you," said Fox. George hopped on singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat is a sail for a goat, my shoes in a house for a little white mouse, one of my socks is a bed for a fox, but look at me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." Oh, he's beginning to lose all of his new clothes, isn't he? Oh, George came to a big, squelchy bog. Thick mud it was, boys and girls. And beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. "Howl, howl," he said. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's this bog," said the dog. "I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe, dry path." Oh, look, he's up to his knees in mud, boys and girls. Somebody needs to help him, don't they? Oh, these pages are getting stuck together today, boys and girls. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his brand new belt. "It was squashing my tummy anyway," he said, and he laid it down over the bog for an excellent path. Thank you," said the dog. The wind started to blow, and George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat is a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of my socks is a bed for a fox, my belt helped the dog which was crossing the bog, but my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town," he said. Oh no, boys and girls, look, his trousers are falling down because he gave the dog his belt for the bog, didn't he? Suddenly, George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, "I'll have to go back to the shop and get some more clothes." So he turned around and hopped all the way back to the shop. Oh no. But when he got there, boys and girls, the shop was closed. "Oh no," cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his face. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on the way home. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of the top. George took a closer look. "My gown!" he yelled. "My dear old gown and sandals!" George put his gown back on and his sandals back on, and he felt so comfortable in them. "I'm the cosiest giant in town," he cried, and he danced back home all the way along the road. and outside of the door stood all the animals he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. "Come on, George," they said. "Will you open it?" So George untied the ribbon on the top of the box, and inside was a beautiful gold paper crown on a card. "Look inside that card, George," said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. "Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat is a sail for a goat. The shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt held the dog that was crossing the bog. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town." The end. Oh, boys and girls, that was a lovely story, wasn't it? The giant helped all those animals along the way. Can you remember what animals we saw? Why don't you today find a story about some of the animals that you found in the story, that you saw in the story? So there was a giraffe, a fox, a goat, some mice, and a dog, wasn't there? So that's your task for today. Off you go and see if you can find a story with one of those animals in it in your house. But myself and Bertie are going to get ready for our picnic later, and we're going to be singing lots of nursery rhymes and songs. So I hope you can join us later. But for now, we will see you later. Bye. Bye, boys and girls. Have a good day.